All right, so this morning, for the children's portion of our worship service, I wanted to think about the Lord's commandments, the 10 commandments that we often go to, and try to think if we can remember them all, because hopefully we're practicing to remember these parts of the Lord's Word, especially things like the Lord's commandments. So we might think about what are all of them, and let's try to list a few, and maybe you at home can list some more yourselves. So let's think. There's one that we're not supposed to have any other gods before the Lord, and we're not supposed to make any carved images, and we're supposed to remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. We're not supposed to steal or bear false witness or covet anything of our neighbors. There's lots of them, and the one that we want to look at today is the 5th commandment, which is, "Thou shalt not murder." Have you ever murdered anybody? I really hope not. I hope nobody here and nobody at home has murdered anybody. So, if the Lord's telling us this, do you think that lots of people murder other people? There are some people who do that. But most of us aren't inclined to just go and kill somebody else, right? It doesn't feel like something we would just want to do. You know, it's really interesting. This commandment was broken very early on in the Lord's Word. It sounded like it got really loud all of a sudden. Right in the very beginning, the 3rd and 4th people that were talked about in the Word, and we already have somebody that kills somebody else. This is a story about Cain and Abel. It's in chapter 4 of Genesis. Beginning at the beginning of that chapter, it says, "Now Adam knew his wife Eve, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have acquired a man from the Lord. Then she bore again, this time his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of fruit from the ground to the Lord. Abel also brought the firstborn of his flock and the fat. And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell." It means that he was sad and angry at the same time. So the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? And why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, but you should rule over it." Now Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were out in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is Abel your brother?" He said, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" And he said, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth." Amen. So right away, at the very beginning, so we have Cain and Abel, very early on in the Word, and they're brothers, and they were both bringing gifts to the Lord, offerings to the Lord, and it says that the Lord liked Abel's gift, which was the firstborn of his flock, so like a sheep and the fat that goes with that, and then did not respect Cain's gift, which was the fruit from the ground. So Cain got really angry there, and he decided to kill his brother. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? Crazy way to think. Now, have you ever been angry with one of your brothers or sisters or one of your friends at school? Have you ever gotten angry at them and started to think, oh, I want to hurt them? Or you might even lash out and punch them. We might be able to withhold ourselves from actually killing them, but it doesn't mean that the thoughts aren't there at all. When the Lord talks about this, you shall the commandment not to murder, he's not just talking about the actual physical act of killing somebody else, it involves a lot of things that have to do with our own hatred of other people. When we start to get angry at them. Listen to what the Lord said in the Gospel of Matthew. This is chapter 25, 21, and 22. It says, "You have heard that it was said to those of old, 'You shall not murder,' and whosoever murders will be in danger of the judgment. But I say to you that whoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whoever says to his brother, 'Raka,' shall be in danger of the council. But whoever says, 'You fool,' shall be in danger of hellfire." So the Lord's kind of saying, we still have that commandment that we shouldn't murder, but he's adding or trying to make us think even bigger. That even if you're just angry with your brother without a cause, that you'd be in danger of judgment. So this brings a bigger layer for this commandment. How often do we get angry at other people? This is actually a part of committing murder. Because our thoughts, if they just keep going on like that, if there were no consequences to you actually carrying out an act of violence, if there were absolutely no consequences, then we might actually do it. So in our hearts, we might actually be committing murder when we're angry with somebody else. You know, there's other ways we can do this. We can do this by telling lies about another person to destroy their character so that other people think less of them. This is another kind of murder that we do. I wanted to close our little talk this morning with something more for our bigger kids, thinking about the depth of this commandment. This is from the More True Christian Religion, from the Word for the New Church, saying that in the natural sense, this commandment, "You shall not kill," means not to kill another person, and not to inflict upon him any wound from which he may die, and also not to maim his body. It means also not to inflict any deadly harm upon his name, his fame, since with many, fame and life go hand in hand. In a broader natural sense, murder means enmity, hatred, and revenge, which breeds slaughter. For in them lies concealed as a fire, or lies concealed as a fire into wood under the ashes. Infernal fire is nothing else. Hence the expressions to be inflamed with hatred or to burn with revenge. These passions are murder in intention, not in act. But if fear of the law or retaliation and revenge were removed from them, they would break forth into act, especially if there is treachery or ferocity in the intention. So this is pretty much saying that any of those things, the enmity, the hatred that burns up within us, even though we might not do it because we would get in trouble, that in the next life, that hatred still exists, and that we would actually commit murder if we have the opportunity. So this is a hard lesson for us, I think, because it's easy to get angry. It's very easy to get angry at other people and to feel like people do you wrong and things aren't fair. It's really important for us to go back to the Lord and remember that even these feelings of anger and hatred, those are actually against His commandments. And so we need to really do our best to observe them. So what we might think about it, whenever you start to feel angry about something, maybe here's a little tip for you. Maybe stop yourself and try to count to 10. Count nice and slow. And hopefully that feeling of anger might just be suppressed just a little bit. And that'll help us gain confidence in obeying this command. Amen. The Lord give His angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways.